Hello everyone, welcome back to another video about Star Wars Unlimited. I have got a set 2, that's upside down, a set 2 deck profile for you today. Shadows of the Galaxy has been out for probably, what, 2-3 weeks now? I think 2 weeks. And I have been doing a lot of testing, primarily just trying to get lists together for some of the more popular and like powerful decks from set 1. I think those are much easier, just like making those good. And then once I figured out, basically, okay, you can play these and they're going to be good, we can go from there and we can start developing the new decks. So this is the first of 2 Boba deck profiles I'll be doing on the channel. For the 2 decks I saw the most success with, winning a case event and top 4 at the UK Games Expo. This is going to be Boba ECL. Unless I made this title very, very vague, you already knew that. So Boba ECL is a weird one. I think this is one that fell a little bit out of favour in the format as we got towards the end, but I don't think it was any less powerful. I just think that people kind of got a little bit sick of it and were looking to play new things. Of course, ECL remains one of the most insanely powerful cards in the game. And yeah, I think this deck is really, really powerful. We're going to go ahead and talk about it now. You all know what the Boba Fett unit does. If you want some explanation of basically what the goal of this deck is, I would refer you to my in-depth guide for this leader, which was on my Patreon, but is now free on YouTube. You can check it out. I think I will remember to link it, or I'll put a card up there or something. You can see from my shadow, I'll put a card up there. And I'll try to remember to do that. The other thing I want to say is, of course, this is a work in progress. This is not version 1.0. I have tested this, and I do think it's good. And really, it is just an upgrade of the set 1 list where I'm, just changing the stuff I think has to go in. And it should play pretty similarly. It has in my experience, but, your experience may vary. But of course, the list could change. So we'll start off with 2 copies of Recruit. And I will say you could make this timely intervention. I haven't actually felt the need for that because pretty much like with ECL, you get your ECL and then you're also playing like a lot of ambush now. I mean, you already were, but you're playing so much ambush that I don't really think you need it. And I'd rather be able to just dig and find my useful cards. So yeah, Recruit remains a really, really powerful card. Those of you who've played other card games, searching the top 5 for any unit is very, very good. Of course, you do play a lot of non-units in this deck, so it can whiff, but it probably won't. Okay, we're going to do all the cheap stuff. So we've got 2 copies of Greedo, and I want you to pay attention to the traits on everything. So this is Underworld traded. Greedo is nuts. It is a 3/1 with a when defeated, so you can potentially kill 5 HP units with this card if you high roll, though not that much of a high roll looking at the number of events, well, the non-units in the deck. I think it is just events. There's some upgrades in the side. Yeah, just a very, very powerful card. And it is an Underworld for Maul purposes. Spoiler alert, this deck plays Maul. Okay, so we got 2 Greedos. That's the 1-drops. So a turn 1 of Greedo into Recruit is always decent. Generally speaking, you are not going to play your 1-drops on turn 1 unless you really need to dig for your ramp. Generally, you'll play a 2-drop and you'll sort of slot these in where you get a free untap. So onto the 2-drops. We start with 3 of a new card. We've got Gamorrean Retainer. I think I probably said some really dumb stuff about this card in my video. I just don't know how I didn't process. This is a 3/2 with potential upside. Granted, in this deck at the moment there isn't much, but with potential upside, that is Underworld traded. I don't know what the hell I was talking about. I feel like I underrated this card in my video. I haven't actually double checked, but yeah, let me know. Anyway, it's a 3/2. This is the direct Probe Droid replacement in my opinion, because yes, Probe Droid lets me look at my opponent's hand. Don't get me wrong, very valuable, but you draw 2 a turn in Star Wars, so that hand knowledge becomes outdated reasonably quickly. You should be playing around the major threats anyway, and it's not Underworld traded, which means we can't just sack it away with Maul. And sometimes it does come up where you do just get the Sentinel. Can come up. Okay, next 2-drop is Triple Smuggler. I did try Everzan, and it just felt pretty rough in some matchups. I think this could be Everzan, though, depending on how much blue control you're seeing, essentially. I think that's the big determining factor. We know Smuggler's amazing, 2/2 with shield. Now the problem is I am not playing I'm not playing shoot first, so I will say Smuggler maybe does have to become Evazan in this deck without shoot first. I haven't tested it enough to make that decision for sure, but this could definitely be Evazan. Absolutely could be. Equally, we could just find room for shoot firsts, elsewhere. 2 cards Elspacer. This is a good card. I feel like it's gotten better. There's a lot of very cheap stuff running around that you want to tap down. It's an Underworld. You will... I'm not playing Merc Gunship. I think you absolutely could play Merc Gunship. At the moment, I've just got Cartel here because I'm expecting the early meta to just be a load of aggro, and I like having the immediate out to aggro, and it's nice for that reason. 3 copies of No Good to Me Dead. For some reason, I've seen people cutting this card. I have no idea why you would do that. It is broken. There are so many matchups this will just instant win you the game, right? Like, in particular, one of the most popular new decks right now, Ray. If they deploy Ray and you go No Good to Me Dead, they don't get their restore, which they were probably building their whole deck around, like, being able to stabilize using. You will have probably board controlled them, and then you're just going to start slamming absolute bullshit into them, especially if you've ramped. I mean, you might not even need to know Good to Me Dead if you've ramped, because you can just go cool Maul. But yeah, and of course in the mirror, in the Han, like, I cannot believe you would not main decking this is crazy. Maybe 2 in the main, but not main decking it is nuts to me. You're still on 3 Surprise Strike. You have to be. This card just randomly wins you games. It is very, very good. I think there is an argument to make this Hotshot Blaster just because you can resource it early and then get it out at the end. Need to test that more and see where it goes. 2 Resupply, could make an argument for 3 here. I just really couldn't find room. Maybe it's the 51st card. Maybe we just go to 51. Entirely possible that is what we do. But yep, we know Resupply is very, very good. 3 Boba Fett unit. This is remaining one of the best units in the game. And yeah, funny how half the 3/5s in the game are legendary. But yeah, this card's crazy. Slightly nerfed, but yeah. Triple 7th Fleet Defender. I think as much as I want to play TIE Advanced, I think we have to play 7th Fleet because we can ECL it in to answer space. It doesn't immediately die to most stuff in space. It can answer an opponent's, even a Tarkin buffed. 7th Fleet, not 7th Fleet, TIE, the card I was literally just talking about, which I've now forgotten. Yeah, I think it's very, very important. 3 Waylay. I think this card got even better this set. I don't know how. I truly do not know how it got better, but I really think it did. It just answers so many threats. It makes your flip turn so good. I can't believe there was a period when I was contemplating not playing 3 copies of this card. It's just insane. The more you play this deck, the more you're just like, wow, Waylay really is a broken card. Triple Super Laser Tech. You'll see a lot of 3-drops. Yep, this is your ramp. You like to see it. The more I've played this deck, the more I've been preferring Resupply, but I just can't justify reducing the unit numbers. It does come up when you go Gamorrean, turn 1 Gamorrean, turn 2 Super Laser Tech, and you don't ECL in, and that can just ruin an opponent's turn if they're trying to aggro you to face. It's come up a couple times. And our last 3-drop is a 1 of Relentless Pursuit. This card is good. This card is very, very good. It's only a 1 of because I think it's hard to get the maximum value out of it, but it is definitely very, very solid. 4 drops. We just play 2 copies of Fallen. This is a 4/4 ambush. I think you could play Gammo Guard, but I do like the upside with Zuckuss, which I am playing 3 copies of. Spoiler alert. On to the 5 drops. I'm probably going to run out of space after these. So we play 3 Syndicate Lackeys. We have cut Bosk in favour of Syndicate Lackeys because there are a lot of 3/5s running around, and Syndicate Lackeys is the perfect answer, especially when you spend your turn ramping into going to 4. So if I go Resupply, you go play a 3/5, I go Claim, I then Syndicate Lackeys, kill your 3/5, and then I flip, swing, and I can Waylay whatever you play that turn, and it's kind of a wash there. Like, that's GG, basically, because it's such a tempo swing. Waylay plus any of your 5 drops is crazy. The other 5-drop is, of course, Zuckuss. My god, this card is ridiculous. I mean, yeah, it's a 6/6. It's got Saboteur. This is my biggest ECL target. Basically, it's always going to be a Zuckuss because the card is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, not a huge amount else to say. It is a 6/6. Sometimes it's a 7/7. Yeah, just a crazy, crazy card. And the last one of the 5 drops is triple overwhelming barrage. This is your stabilizer tool against aggro. And yeah, once you make it to your barrage, it's just nuts. Super strong, and you're vibing. You've stabilized successfully, and you can win the game from there. So not quite the entire deck though. I have 2 more bits of top end which couldn't quite fit here. So firstly, we got triple fire spray. Of course, you're not playing Boba without fire spray. It is absolutely mandatory. And our new addition, 3 copies of Maul. I think this card is crazy. I love Maul. He just nukes every leader in the game pretty much that is not Jabba and Palpatine and Vader. So and Thrawn. So of those, he's coming out so much faster than most of those are coming out, and he's just so good. The big thing for me is when you're able to just send that damage away, it just feels so good. You send that damage into one of your into a Greedo or into a Gamorrean Retainer, or into a Crafty Smuggler. That's got to be my favorite, right? You have a Crafty Smuggler out, it's a 2/2 shielded, and then you just maul, and the damage gets soaked up by a shield. You ambush, you overwhelm. It feels absolutely insane. Yeah, this card's just great. Of course, sometimes you are not going to want to maul. So I've got a sideboard here because I do think it's important. And this is more of a discussion. And I think the sideboard is definitely what needs the most work. So let's put these down here, and we will move on to the sideboard. So firstly, I'm playing 2 McClunky. This is something I'm mainly playing for aggro. And so part of the reason is, okay, so now you see why I'm playing all these underworlds. So basically, I'm always going to have an underworld option. I think if you're on McClunky in the main, so, and here's the thing, I think Recruit could leave, right? It could, and if it does, there's a lot of random options that could slot into that 2-drop spot, those 2 spots, which I think will significantly change how the deck plays in the early game. You could play Timely Intervention, obviously. And that will let you get extra ECLs in, basically. And I think in particular the Timelies on your 4 resource turn, if you miss your ramp, are really strong. Timely in Boba or Timely in 7th Fleet Defender, you don't burn your ECL, feels really, really good. Of course, we could play McClunky in the main, and then we play our Greedo, swing with the Greedo, bounce it back to hand, deal the 3 damage, untap the resource, doing really, really strong board clearing. It's really good with Dr. Evazan, because if we're playing McClunky in the main, then maybe the Crafty Smuggler becomes a Dr. Evazan, so that's worth trying out. And literally everything here that is not 7th Fleet Defender and Super Laser Technician is an Underworld, so you're going to get value out of it. So that's another part of it. It's also great with these, later on in the game when you ambush in something, you swing, you get the value. Maybe you can just McClunky to do it again. It is very funny that you can loop Mauls with McClunky as well. Send them all in, you kill something, you untap with Boba, you McClunky it back to your hand, and you just sit there with them all. That alone may sell me on just doing it, but you can also do it with Fire Spray. It's just such a versatile card that as I'm sitting here talking, I think I am going to make that main deck switch, and I'll just try it out. 2 Bazine, this is for those control decks, I think, just to let me snipe out something into particularly critical turns. I think you do just want to snipe stuff, right? For example, on my 6 resource turn, if I have the initiative, smuggling out a Bazine and just getting rid of a Rival's Fall can win me the game, right? On my 8 resource turn, again, if I have the initiative, sniping out a Snoke can just win me the game. We are going to play double Boba Fett's armor. I think in some matchups this card is such a blowout that it needs to be in the 60. Not necessarily in your main, but it needs to be in the 60 because sometimes you just win the game off of it. Final Showdown. So I am playing this card because once you make Top Cut and your opponent gets to see your deck list and they see Final Showdown in there, they shit themselves. Not necessarily because you actually will ever board it in. That being said, I do think you can very, very easily just board this in and on 8 resources just win the game. If you maul, your curve is pretty stupid, right? Your perfect curve is any 2-drop ramp, Zuckuss plus Waylay, no board, Fire Spray, Maul, Final Showdown. Crazy, right? And if you somehow keep that whole board with your deploy, that's a 50 damage game, right? So it is pretty nuts is the potential. And 2 Vaders, just because some decks you want to go slightly wider instead of going with just one big thing, in particular decks that are going to Power of the Dark Side you. This is just about consistent enough. It's cutting it a little bit close, and that's part of the other reason I'm playing Cartel. Just if I do board in that Vader, then it's not another target that's going to whiff. If I do bring in the Vaders, though, it's going to be against control, right? And against those control decks, I'm bringing in the Vaders, I'm bringing in the Bazines, and I'm siding out a lot of like this early stuff where it's just like I don't really care massively about having it. I don't need as much early game, right? Like what I really need is to ramp, and what I really need is to like start playing big things and going really, really fast, and just making life very difficult for them. But yeah, that is the deck list. I am happy with how it's performing. And having talked myself into doing this, I am gonna try the main deck McClunkies for a while. I mean, arguably, right? Like you've got a main deck Bazine at that point. But anyway, maybe I'll just maybe I'll try the suite of twos, right? Like we cut one of these, we cut one of these, put them in the side, slap in 2 Bazines in the main, and we see how that goes. That's probably what I'm gonna do with our whole suite of 2 drops here. So. Yeah, you all saw some live chopping and changing on camera, but there we go. That's the deck list. Overall, I am very, very happy with it. I think it's performing well. It's it's a good deck. It's definitely not as easy to play as Boba Yellow. I think I maintain that Boba Green is like you have to have very strong fundamentals and like game knowledge to play this deck properly. So it's a great deck to learn the format on, because when you're winning with Boba Green, you're winning because you're good and you understand the format. You're not just winning due to like bullshit blowout aggro stuff, which you can just with Boba Yellow, like you absolutely can just win due to bullshit blowout aggro stuff sometimes. Where like, and yeah, don't get me wrong, you can just have bullshit blowout with this deck, but it's not quite the same. I think like you do need to be very careful about your resourcing decisions, and this is more fragile, but the ceiling's higher. I don't know, maybe I'm waffling, but there we go. That's it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like, subscribe for lots more Star Wars Unlimited content, lots more deck profiles coming soon, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Cheers.